Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, and thanks for joining us today. Today, we are tackling step number 2 in our 4-step process, the Franchise Freedom process, which can also be found right on the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com/process, which will give you an overview of our 4-step process. And we recorded the 4-show series, so we were getting a lot of questions on where do I start looking at a franchise? What's the process look like? If we were to work together, what does that look like? So I'm giving kind of a real example here of what it looks like and the time commitment and everything else involved. So for today's episode, again, thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about step number 2, and that's the consultation. So at this point, congrats. You have definitely taken that first step. You have had an intro call. We've decided franchising may be a great fit for what you're looking to accomplish, and you have submitted that questionnaire. So you've really have committed yourself, put the time in to fill out that questionnaire and really kind of move forward and start figuring out what this ideal business looks like. So for today, the consultation is typically about a 60-minute video call. Sometimes we go a little bit over, so 60 to 90 minutes, where we really take a deep dive in figuring out what is the ideal business that you're looking for. That ideal business, again, not the specific franchise or the product or service offering, but what does it look like? So for today, we'll give some examples of some things to think about when looking at a business. So we've figured out franchising is a great fit because of the support and systems are in place. So I always like to start with, if you kind of closed your eyes and you had a choice of what that ideal business looks like, does it have 4 walls? Are you at a physical location? Is it a retail or brick and mortar location, or is it more service where you're possibly working from home or have a small office? So thinking about that, obviously on the service side, you will have a territory you are servicing. So it may be a group of zip codes based off a certain criteria. And maybe a small office or so, but that investment is going to be much smaller. And that also will allow you to open up much quicker, since there is not a build out or permits involved. As with brick and mortar, it is going to take you 6 months plus to get your location open, depending on where it is, the availability of contractors, and obviously working things out with landlord permits and things like that. So one is not better than the other. It's really what you are looking for. In that brick and mortar, your customers are coming to you. Whereas in a service business, you're going to the customer to offer a service like business coaching, mosquito spraying, residential cleaning or painting. So the list goes on. So that is one area to think about. Secondly, your employees, what are your employees doing? Are they skilled, semi-skilled? Are they W-2 employees or contractors, where the contractor is now responsible for finding their employees? So some people like and prefer to work with a smaller number, whereas others are open to a larger number of employees. So again, something to think about when figuring it out. We look at other business characteristics of the business, and we look at territory. Where do you want to be located? Territory-wise, zip code. Are you planning on moving? And that will also assist in the search, because some franchises or may not be available for whatever reason in a certain state, or they are available, but someone has already purchased the rights of the entire state or zip code. So these are important things. Maybe you have multiple zip codes, which gives a little bit more variety, and we can take a look and see what is available. So another very important thing to figure out. Obviously, we want to know why we're doing this in the first place. What is the motivation? Why not keep that job? What are you looking to accomplish? Whether that's time and financial freedom, is it just more time to spend with the family? Get rid of the commute. Take control of your destiny and be able to sell this business at a nice multiple when that time comes. So these are things we discuss. We get into detail as to, not what is better, but what is a good fit for you. And we talk about, and we also talk about growth, and growth And another area is as far as if you're looking to potentially expand. So some people may buy more than one territory because they want to lock in. I call it an insurance policy, right? Lock in future expansion. And by doing that, you're locking in a much larger territory to be developed at a later date and not have to worry about someone else purchasing that territory. So that's just some time there, and we spent a lot more and go through some questions, but this will give you a general overview and some things to be honest, just to think about, right? Give it some consideration, give it some thought. You may not know the answer, and that's fine. We dive into obviously on the investment side. If your investment is on the smaller side, maybe it's $100,000 investment. Is brick and mortar in the cards, right? Can you afford a brick and mortar location right now? And that's why we send you, based off of step one in the call, to our funding partners so they can do a full analysis as to what your options are. So I think that's great. I think those calls should happen immediately just to have a general idea so we know kind of what direction you want to move in. A really, really important part of all this and in being successful and sustainable is that, there are going to be a lot of companies that could potentially match what you're looking for. So how do we really scale this thing down? And I think a big part of it has to do with what is the role of the franchise owner? And I'll repeat that. What is the role of the franchise owner? And what I mean by that is, what are you doing on a daily basis? What are you going to be comfortable with on a daily basis? Because if you are more introverted and this business is requiring you to knock on doors, cold calling, networking, and just be out there every single day talking to new prospects, and that does not fit your personality, that may not be the best fit for you. So I think focusing on the role of the franchise owner will definitely help you narrow down the search to a franchise that is going to be a good fit for you. Now, you're always selling and wearing multiple hats in the very beginning to get the business up and running. So I always say, let's fast forward 6 months, business is set up. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? And if you can figure that out, if it's working on the business, networking with the Chamber of Commerce, overseeing and doing the hiring and talking with employees, these are great starting points in figuring that out. So that is a big portion of the consultation. Obviously the role, we want to tackle funding, the characteristics of the business, as well as the motivation of why you're doing, why do you want a business when the job you have right now is paying well? And we also say in some cases, we've had candidates come to us and they may do both. It may be what we call more of a hybrid approach where someone does keep their job temporarily. Sometimes it ends up being permanently, and finding a business that could be run semi-absentee, which we define as a business that's maybe part-time. Instead of 40 hours, we'll classify it as maybe 20 hours a week or so, obviously with the numbers being much greater to get the business launched. But we'll take a look at that and see what businesses allow the franchise owner to be semi-absentee. And that is a key point there, the type of ownership, because now as a semi-absentee owner, the investment may be a little higher because now you may be hiring a general manager to kind of run the business while you're involved a portion of the day. So a few other things to consider. So that is the consultation. We're halfway there. We've made a lot of progress. What do we do with all this great information? Well, I summarize it in a franchise model that we customize specifically for you. And we will send you that model for you to review and approve, kind of tackling the main characteristics of the business. So we made it this far. Congrats again. And on the third part of the 4-part series, we will tackle next steps, what we do with the model, looking at franchise companies, and going forward. So thanks again for joining us today. Once again, if you are ready to schedule a call, our services are always free. There's no cost for any of the calls. We are paid directly from the franchise companies. We call ourselves the eHarmony of franchising. And as I mentioned, similar model would be an executive recruiter where we're helping you find truly the best matches for you. So feel free to jump on the calendar, GG, the franchise guide. forward.com/calendar. You can submit your questions. Again, email at the bottom, and overview of the process. Everything on the main website, right on the top, we have a process tab, and you can get another kind of general overview of what we do and 4 parts of the process. So thanks again for joining today. We really appreciate it. Again, just great idea to have this 4-part series, and looking forward to continuing with step 3, which is the franchise model and looking at specific franchise companies. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.